Welcome to Conversations Below the Surface, the CBS Podcast Shorts. I am your host, Marcus Gentry, and we hope you enjoy this episode. Many times I'll use examples from what shows up in nature because I've learned that this is what oftentimes the masters use when they're teaching lessons, because in nature there are so many lessons about life that we can learn. So I recently did a piece called "The Tree is in the Seed," and that has value, but this piece will seem similar, but a very different direction that we're going to look at with that, and that's the message about the transition from roots to rose. Now, when you think about the beauty of a rose that poems and songs are written about, people collect them around Valentine's Day and other times to make things of special meaning. They typically don't collect the roots, but they collect the rose because of the beauty of it. But it comes from a root. Now, if you've ever looked at the roots of a rose bush, it's not something very attractive. Usually people don't pick that to give to people, but that's where the rose came from. And I want to use that example to help look at a point of our growth and development. In order for us to become truly who we are destined to become, just like the rose, we have to leave the roots. Now, it doesn't mean that we're no longer connected, but what it means is we can't stay at that same place and grow to become who we are truly meant to be. Now, there are people who will say, hey, don't forget where you come from. And in some sense, they're suggesting that you're leaving where you were, which you are. And maybe you're even leaving where they still are at a stage of roots. And they want you to come back and stay at that place. But you can never really develop into all of who you are intended to be unless you sometimes leave home or leave where you began at or leave that foundation. Now, you can keep the core principles of who you are as you blossom into something greater. So when you think about what were your roots, what were your foundation, what were the earlier messages that you received from whoever was responsible for raising you, those core principles, you might say, okay, well, I was taught some things that's not very good. You might want to let them go, but there may be some other principles that you want to hold on to that means a lot to you, that's valuable. And those you can hold on to as you grow. Some people only will accept you because of what they remember you being at your root stage. And when you start to form into something different, they will feel left behind. But the growth and development of the rose is very different than the roots. The roots go down and wide, and the rose goes towards the light, brightness, and up, which is what we do as we grow and expand and become more awakened. Now, there's something that's called becoming root bound with plants, where the roots clump together, they stick together, and they can choke out the life of the plant. Same thing is true with us as individuals. If we get caught up in the mindset of people who were at our root stages, they can choke out our ability to and our potential to become truly who we are meant to become. So sometimes we have to work hard to transition from the root to the rose. But there are some beautiful things that's awaiting us as we make that transition. Thank you for listening to this CBS Podcast Short. If you would like to hear more on this topic, please email me at respect@marcusgentry.com. And don't forget to check back for new episodes.